kind of explain what that is. It goes along with the Securityy designation that Homeland Security, U.S. Homeland Security designates this event. So, Paul.
Thanks, Director Bates. This is the third year that this event has been designated a Securityy event, which stands for Special Event Assessment Rating, and it's designated by the Department of Homeland Security. There's a whole methodology. It's a risk-based methodology that's figured, and a lot of public events apply for this designation every year. As a matter of fact, and only a few of them are actually obtained that designation. In 2016, there's only 11 events that are designated as Securityy event. So what does this mean for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? It means that we can bring federal assets to this event and enhance the security plan. So some of the assets that we are bringing, Customs and Border Patrol is going to bring 2 of their helicopters. These helicopters will be used throughout the weekend. They'll be used during the parade. They'll be used during the day around for folks that are camping outside the facility, and certainly for traffic. Other assets that are going to be obtained are from the Homeland Security investigations. They're going to provide cameras that are placed outside of the facility that will help with the protection of the folks, the spectators and camping throughout the weekend. And they also have manpower and command and communication assets that they're providing as well. As Director Bates mentioned, ATF will be providing some of those canine assets that were previously discussed. The TSA will provide a temporary flight restriction for the track on race day. It'll go up an hour before the race and continue an hour after the race, and it will prohibit any type of aircrafts over the facility during the race time. Other assets that are provided, DHS will provide intelligence gathering personnel, and they're also assisting on an information network. This is a platform that will allow all the law enforcement agencies to be able to share information effectively and efficiently. Some other assets, the FBI is providing several assets. Again, Director Bates alluded to the fact that the assets that they're providing, much of which we can't discuss in a public forum. But this is only a handful of some of the assets that the federal government's supporting to the event. And also we have many other federal agencies that will be at the ready if called upon. So I'd like to stress here that this is not a federally secured event. And I'd like to point out that this is a state and locally secured event. We are simply here to assist in their security plan. That is an excellent plan, and we'll give them whatever assets they feel they need and any expertise they may ask. I'd also like to take the opportunity to also say that the cooperation among other federal agencies, the state and locals, is unprecedented. I've never seen a group of people work so well together, not only for this event, but any events that we have in the state of Indiana and any kind of protective functions. So we look forward to an exciting and safe event on Sunday for both the spectators and everybody who's working the event.
Thank you. You highlighted something that I started off, and I don't think we can say it enough. The cooperation between Chief Campbell and your team, Chief Riggs and yours, the state police and Superintendent Carter and others, it is unbelievable to work at a place where you see all these people who wear different colors and different badges, yet they all know how to get along together. They understand whose duties are what. It's fascinating to watch them work, and it really is a testament, I think, about how we put on events in the state of Indiana. And you guys, as we go around the country and have an opportunity to talk about how to secure events, we are a model, and it's because of the way that all of you get along together, and really has nothing to do with each of us. So thank you for letting us be part of that team. Just a couple other things, and then we'll take some questions. This is sort of a clarification of where we were this morning. So we did stop selling reserve seat tickets several weeks ago, and we stopped selling GA tickets this morning. So for those folks who have purchased Snake Pit wristbands, so generally young adults under the age of 30 who are coming here for the Snake Pit, They will need a GA ticket to get in. Some haven't purchased those, so we will allow folks to purchase a GA ticket if they have that Snake Pit wristband. If somebody has a parking pass and didn't purchase GA tickets because they didn't know how many people were going to be in their car and they're used to showing up on race day and paying for those folks that were with them, we're going to continue to allow that to happen. Same with those folks who have purchased bronze badges or other credentials to get into the Speedway, where on race day it will take some sort of ticket along with that credential to allow them in. We will help them out. There's a few other items like that, and those will be made available on the IMS website, or you can call our ticketing department and help work through that. But for the most part, there are no tickets for sale at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the moment. One other thing related to weather is we all continue to watch the weather this weekend and to see how weather looks. From our standpoint, we will continue to work with National Weather Service, and we have a partnership with WTHR and their weather team, and pay attention to that. So as we get closer to the event, we'll be more specific on anything related to weather. We don't really want to get into specific conversations on how we might manage weather, because there's so many scenarios and we don't want the wrong information to get out in the event. We want them to do something else in venue. So more specifics about the weather I think we'll deal with as we get closer and feel more comfortable about exactly what that weather situation could be. But while I'm talking about weather, Legends Day and Carb Day, the concerts, both would continue to go on even in rain. If there was lightning, obviously that wouldn't take place. So for those folks that are planning on coming for Legends Day or Carb Day, in almost all instances, if there is rain, those events will continue. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and answer some questions if anybody has any. Bruce?
Back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, if you were coming from northern Indiana, it used to be said if you're not at the Marion County line by 5:45 in the morning, you're going to miss the start of the race. What would you say that would be? You know, as a precaution now, people need to be inside Marion County by what time?
Well, this goes back, and I'll let Director Bates talk about this in a minute, but from my standpoint, it just goes back to early, right? Early, and the gates will open at 6 o'clock, and we're going to have a lot of great activities beginning at 8. So ESPN Sports Center is going to be here. They're going to be broadcasting from 8 to 9, and then from 10 to 11, they're going to have live cut-ins from 9 to 10, so there's an opportunity to do like folks do on College Game Day, make out your poster for your favorite race car driver, participate in Sports Center. We're going to have the Borg Warner, instead of being preset on the start-finish line like we've done historically, it's going to leave from the museum and have a parade march through the facility, so people can interact with the Borg and some of the folks that are riding along with it. So we're trying to add elements for folks to give them a reason to come besides just being here. Not that just being here isn't a huge reason in and of itself, especially in the 100th. This is a magical place with cars on track and without cars on track. And it's a really magical place on race morning as things start to get set and the sun starts to come up. So the biggest thing we're telling people is to be early. The later you get when you think you're going to leave, the earlier you should think about leaving. If you in the past have left at 10:30 at your house, you're not going to be in time to see pre-race. You can't wait until 10:30 to come to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You need to come early. So I don't know that there's a set rule. I don't know if you have one. All I can say is I don't think you can be early enough.
Mm-hmm. No, I would just say, I mean, as a standard, I would say leave 2 hours prior to when you typically would leave for the race. I think is, you know, if you leave at 5 to be at 6, that's great. But you know, if you leave at 8 o'clock typically, or you leave at 9 o'clock, I would plan to leave 2 hours early, however it fits into your schedule, because we don't know. I mean, we know the line's obviously going to be longer, but I think we've got a lot of gates open. I think we've worked out the logistics on it. Not to say there'll be issues here and there. I'm sure there will be with a crowd this size, but I think for the most part, people should understand that if lines are long, move down to the next gate, because that's how it works, and that's the whole point of doing that. And something I didn't touch on earlier, if you don't mind, Doug, is something additionally we're going to try this year. We're doing is what we call secondary perimeter. So if you've ever been to Colts game, they have the secondary perimeter. Basically, they have the folks about a block out that are kind of watching for folks that don't meet the clear bag policy. We're kind of taking that and kind of adjusting it to what we want to do. So we've got gates 1 and gate 6 this year. We're going to have what we call pre-check, call it what you want, pre-check, a secondary perimeter, but it's a location that people that are coming to the particular gates along Georgetown 1 or 6, there'll be stanchions, there'll be the signs there that say pre-check, and what fans can do is they can take their coolers, they can take their bags to these specific locations, or they will be pre-checked. It will be the bags will be tagged and the coolers will be secured, and then those fans will be directed to one of our express gates. And the whole point of that is it seems like the bulk of our fans tend to migrate toward Georgetown Road, from lot 1C, etc. So the thought process was, if this helps to expedite people getting in, that's what we want to do. So we're trying it this year. It's something we've never tried before. I think it'll be successful, and if it does, certainly we'll expand that. But at this point, we're just trying it on a smaller scale just to see if it works. But hopefully that'll help folks get in. So my point is, look for those at gate 1 and gate 6. Those are the flags that'll be flying. It'll say pre-check, and we'll have ESG security there also checking those bags. So that's really important to get out, and if we can do that, I think that'll work.
Are there any specific regulations on the type or size of coolers or bags that can be brought in?
Absolutely. So on coolers, it's 14 inches by 14 inches by 18 inches. And those coolers will be opened and the coolers will be checked. So people just have to be prepared to have that happen when they come. So it cannot be bigger than 14 by 14 by 18. So they'll check the size as well as check the contents. So people just need to know when they leave their car. Last thing I want somebody to do, park at 10th and somewhere, walk all the way up here and have your cooler be too big to bring it in the facility. So you need to make sure it's 14 by 14 by 18. When you head this way. In terms of bags, I don't know if you have a specific.
No, nothing specific. Obviously, it'll be a discretion thing. If you're going to bring the biggest suitcase you've ever seen in your life, just prepare. It's going to take a while to open that up and look through it. But ideally, it's typically backpacks and that sort of stuff. Basically, any bag that you bring in here will be searched.
And my guess is if your suitcase is bigger than 14 by 14 by 18, we won't let it in either. Yes.
I know you announced this morning the sellout. Is that when it became known it was a sellout, or when did you realize or know it is a sellout?
Well, I think it's something we've been monitoring really all year, paying attention to ticket sales and trends, and we know what we've historically sold sort of X number of days out from the event, so we've been tracking where we were. Really, especially since we got from the 100 days out time period when we had the event here, ticket sales really have skyrocketed, and we got to the point where we were able to make the announcement that we were sold out of reserve seats. And then over the last several weeks, in particular as the Snake Pit itself was about to sell out, we thought maybe that would slow down some of our GA ticket sales, because a lot of those GA ticket sales are related to Snake Pit purchase. But it hadn't, and the ticket sales continued to ramp up to the point where we were selling 2,500 tickets a day for GA. And if you looked at the trends over the years, it was just going to get to be more and more each day as we led into the 500. And race day historically is a big walk-up number, and if the trends held, it was going to be a big walk-up number. So we knew a couple of weeks out that we really need to pay attention to it, but it wasn't until the last couple of days when we really sat down and started doing some of the math and trying to figure out where we wanted to be. Allison and Mark pulled the entire team together, and we started mapping out sort of how things looked. We were here late for a couple of evenings, a couple of mornings really early, and felt like the best thing to do to make sure that the infield experience is the infield experience that folks are looking for. It was time to sell out those tickets. So we monitored it for a long time, but within the last 2 weeks is where we started realizing that it probably was something that we might do.